Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome
Hello, good
to
afternoon.
this lunch talk. Um, so today and tomorrow we have two sessions. So today we are going to talk, how to self-study data engineer, and tomorrow we are going to talk about how to create a portfolio project. Okay, so I think it's this both of them are very interesting topic. So for people who want to study data engineer, okay. So let's start today's talk. For today's talk, we talk about how to study, self-study. Okay, so I think most of the people who want to self-study data engineer because they want to switch to data engineer from other position, maybe from data related position, let's say data science or data analyst, or from other field, let's say from marketing or from IT, software development from different area. So I see in your school, we see people from different industries. They join our bootcamp to study as data engineer. Okay, so before we prepare our study plan, we need to see. So our main purpose is to looking for a job in this market, right? So the first we need to do is to make research on this market. So here are the here are three, let's say, typical job. So usually you just search data engineer in LinkedIn, you will find different data engineer job. Okay, so I pick out three typical data engineer description, so you can see what they are requiring and what area we should learn. Okay, so first of all, for this company, they're requiring, let's say, implement data ingestion, right? Data ingestion, use best practice in data modeling, use ETL, right? In Azure and AWS technology, and design, build, maintain data transformation pipeline. Okay, and where data source, streaming, and data warehouse. Okay, and data lake and data warehouse, and so collaborate with engineers for data systems, for data integration, testing, and analysis. Okay, so you can see we have some keywords here. Data ingestion. Okay, so ingest data. ETL. Well, I think ETL, ELT, this is very uh, important keywords in data engineer world. Okay, AWS, right, and also pipeline. So we can see they are requiring ETL. Real and batch is data ingestion. So data maybe for um, real time or for batch, or data lake or data warehouse. So we can see so we can make a category for these keywords. So let's say what is the cloud? The cloud is AWS. Okay, so what they are going to do? They are going to ingest data. They are going to do data transformation with pipeline. They are going to so what's the data storage? They are going to either in data lake or in data warehouse. Okay, so so this is a typical keywords in this company. So let's see another one. Design system. Okay, Azure Lakehouse, ETL process, another ETL, ingest pipeline for AI machine learning, and create support ETL, another the third ETL keyword, and the table schema in order to facilitate the existing data source, right? Lake house and so on, and Databricks. They are going to run Databricks, and collaborate with data architects and data science analysts for consumer. Okay, so in this one, so what's our cloud platform? Azure, right? And what they are going to do? ETL, pipeline, okay? And what's the technology? You see, this is the important keywords. Databricks. Databricks is the important place for lakehouse and big data. Okay, so which means they are going to store their data in data lake instead of in this one they talk about lake, data warehouse or data lake. Why they don't put that in specific? Why they choose they choose data lake or data warehouse? Because I think maybe this company, they are still in the beginning stage, so they haven't decided if they are going to use lake or data warehouse, or they are going to have both data lake and data warehouse at the same time. Okay, but for this one, it's typical data lake scenario. So they are going to use Databricks for their lake house. Okay, and also they are going to do the ETL process. For this one, I think ETL process, you can see their requirements. Can I see their requirements? So what's the hard skill? No. So for this one, I would say they will require SQL for their data warehouse. And for this one, they will use big data, use Spark. Okay, very likely is PySpark. Okay, and collaborate with data architects, data scientists, and also ingestion pipeline for AI and machine learning. Yeah, so you can see their data platform will use, they will, from here you can see they will use their data lake to store all data, all kinds of data files, and these data files will supply their machine learning activity. So, which means you need to talk with data scientists. You need to know something about machine learning. Otherwise, it's hard to communicate with them, right? So you can see for this one is they focus on build the architecture, right? The architecture, they focus on build a platform, right? Because you can see their description is more generic, so they don't define the task very specific, because I think it's a beginning stage and their platform pretty big. Okay, but for this one, you can see it's pretty specific. So you're going to work in a Databricks for data lakehouse, and you're going to collaborate with your machine learning and AI engineer. Okay, so this is the second one. For the third one, you can see so this responsibility description, this is a project. Okay, so for the responsibility, you can see design software solution. So this is a software. Okay, and so this is the very generic description. So let's take a look at key skills required. Airflow. What's Airflow? Airflow is for pipeline. Okay, PySpark is for big data. Okay, EMR, big data. Okay, and what's the cloud platform? AWS. And Athena and Asper is lakehouse. And Python, okay, Hudi and Redshift. Redshift is data warehouse, and Hudi is lakehouse. Okay, and the capital market, blah blah blah. So you can see this is I would say also a data lake platform, and they based on AWS, and they are focused on lakehouse. Okay, so you are going to use pipeline. So even they did not give a very clear description about this, but you can see you are going to use pipeline, Airflow. So in the Airflow pipeline, you are going to have a couple of steps. So with the steps, you are going to use PySpark to process data. You instead of use, let's say this one, they are going to, for big data, they use Databricks because Databricks have a lakehouse called Data Lake, right? For this one, they use Data Lake for Databricks, but for this one, they only use EMR. Okay, this is purely cluster, big data cluster in AWS. Okay, so you are using PySpark to write, the PySpark on EMR is pretty like, you run Python. You're going to run some PySpark job in EMR and run daily or in routine. Okay, and you're going to save data into data lake and use. I'm not sure. So what's their lake house? Because there is several lake house name here, but at least they need to use lake house. Okay, so they are going to save the data in the data lake and they use lake house to process data. So you can see here. So here we can see ETL, data warehouse, data lake. So we can see, to summarize, this is a traditional one. You need to know ETL, you need to know data warehouse, you need to know data lake, and you need to know data warehouse. And for this one, this is the data. You need to know data lake. You need to work in Azure instead of the AWS, and you need to know big data. Okay, and for this one, you need to lakehouse. You need to know data pipeline, and you need to know lakehouse. So here is, now you can see here is the trend. Okay, so data lake, data warehouse, and big data. Okay, so and also no mention to Python and SQL. So from this, from this job description, we can see what's our main requirement, because you can see there are so many requirements. ETL, a data lake, lake house. So how are we going to start our data engineer learning? So I would say, so for the fundamental skills we need to have first is SQL. Okay, so SQL is, I would say, the first coding language in data engineer. If you are a data engineer, you must know SQL very well, because no matter we're talking about data warehouse, data lake, or lake house, all this platform can be run by SQL. Okay, so let's say in Databricks, we can run SQL in Databricks. We can run SQL in Athena, Asper. Okay, and of course we can run SQL in data warehouse. Let's say Redshift or Snowflake. Okay. The second one is Python, because Python Python is not very efficient coding language in the entire coding world, but because it was used commonly in data industry, so that's why people accept Python as the first the programming language in this field. Okay, so, and no mention to that they are requiring you use PySpark. The PySpark also based on Python. Okay, it's just a Spark, it's a Spark library for Python. Okay, so, and also if you, let's say for these jobs, very likely the first interview, first round of technical interview will be a SQL quiz and a Python quiz. Some companies, maybe they give you the second round of technical quiz. Maybe they ask you to build a ETL pipeline with SQL, or they ask you to give you a few tasks with Python. Okay, so you must know SQL and Python very well. Okay, in order to learn, where to learn SQL, because there are so many free courses on YouTube of SQL and Python, right? So you can take many courses from YouTube, from Udemy, and from many places. You can learn SQL and Python. And also, I suggested you to run to practice your SQL and Python on HackerRank, because this is a good place to polish your SQL Python every day, especially for SQL. I suggested you to finish all the SQL these programs in HackerRank. Okay, so because for a data engineer, you must be the expert in SQL. For Python, it's unnecessary to be as good as a software developer, because some software they use Python for development, and for data engineer it's unnecessary to be as good as a software developer, but at least you need to know Python to a good level. Okay, at least they give you some tasks. You can finish that in a very good speed, in a very good quality, and in a very good standard. Okay, then talk about platform, right? So you can see for these jobs, some use AWS, some use Azure, and now so AWS now is still the domain cloud in this industry. So I think it's number one. But you can see Azure is growing so fast. Okay, so I can see more and more companies they require Azure, and many new projects they require Azure. Okay, so it's necessary to know both AWS and Azure. Somebody will ask, so should they take a certificate for AWS or Azure? Of course, if you have time, that's a big plus, no doubt. Okay, but if you don't have time, if you don't want to spend many time in AWS or Azure, you can pick up some important services to learn. Let's say AWS, maybe let's say for AWS, maybe of course EC2, right? EC2 S3, Redshift, Redshift is and Athena, okay, and what else? And Glue, right? Glue. So for this type of thing, they are data related, okay, and also you can search even some more specific tools. But for this one, there are more generic tool for AWS, and for Azure, Data Factory. Data Factory is the most important tool for data engineer. Okay, for in Azure. Okay, and virtual machine. Okay, so in Azure they call that virtual machine is similar to AWS EC2, right? And so blob, not blob, storage. Okay, they call that Azure storage. Okay, and also if some company they require some Synapse. Okay, Synapse. Okay, and yes, and also others. Yeah, so in Azure, in AWS also need to know important service Lambda, and in Azure we call that it's called Azure function. Okay, so you can start from here. If you don't have time to finish some certificate, and if you want to get some data related certificate for AWS, I forgot, it's something called data or something. Okay, so we can search. For this one is called the DP 203. So DP 203, this is kind of like a data specific certificate for Azure. Okay, so it's for data engineer. Okay, and also Spark. So after the cloud platform, of course, you need to know Spark. So in Spark, we have two things. One is called PySpark. It's Python. It's a Python-based Spark. Another one is Scala. Okay. Previously, because Spark was written by Scala, so Scala will be the first language to use in Spark, and initially Spark have a much higher speed than PySpark to run. Okay, but recently, because they optimize PySpark many times, so now the PySpark now they are as close as good with Scala. Okay, and another thing is that for many people, if the PySpark, they're easier to learn, because as long as you know Python, you will only you don't need much time to learn PySpark. I think one week to learn. You have you will have a full understanding of the syntax of PySpark. But for Scala, it's totally different story, because it's a brand new language. It's a similar, a little bit like Java. Okay, you need to know everything from the very beginning. So if you have a Java background, I suggest you can spend some time on Scala, because now there are still many companies that are using Scala, because so for the companies who use Scala and the Spark, so they have a different preference. So let's say if this company they use Spark very early, more likely, because they already have many documents in Scala, so maybe they choose Scala. That's the first scenario. The second scenario, maybe this is a software company. Okay, so software company, they prefer to they are very allergic to the running speed, so they prefer choose Scala to get the best performance. Okay, but if this is a new project and this company, they are not very software driven, very likely they will start their Spark project with PySpark. Okay, so my suggestion is start from PySpark first, because you can see they clearly give you the requirements that they require PySpark instead of Scala, right? So if you know PySpark, you got higher chance to work in a Spark project. But if you know Scala, you are more dedicated. So my suggestion is go PySpark first, and if you have more time, go Scala. Okay, and so this is about the steps and the skills when to learn first. So because we have the same, this is our self-learn program. So you can see, and also yes, of course, go in addition to CircuitPython, maybe Linux. Okay, because we need to run many jobs in server, and usually the server is Linux system. So maybe in Linux. So if you take a look at for our program, so you can see we would split this program we split this learning track into several phases. Analytical engineer. So analytical engineer, let's say, is focused on data warehouse. Okay, just like this. So we focus on data warehouse. Okay, because I would say half of the jobs in this market, they are data warehouse, because big data or lakehouse, they are pretty expensive. Okay, so if you for a company, if they are starting point, at their starting point, their data is not pretty big, they choose data warehouse instead of data lake or big data because it's much cheaper. Okay, so that's why many companies who don't have a very large data scale or who feel data warehouse is cheaper, they choose data warehouse. So that's why at the first phase, we are going to learn analytical engineer, which is data warehouse. So you can see first we'll learn Linux and AWS foundation. Of course, we need to learn some Docker. It's not important part for data engineer because mostly this one was deployed by DevOps, not data engineer. Okay, but we need to know how to deploy that. Okay, and also how to do data engineer and Python, how to do data ingestion. You can see so for data ingestion and how to do data transformation in data warehouse. Data warehouse, ETL, and the data modeling. So these are the most important part in data warehouse. Okay, and also you have to use tool dbt to do ETL. Okay, so you can see Linux, Python, SQL, because in this one we assume so we have a pre-bootcamp. We will provide SQL and Python. So we assume you already finished your pre-bootcamp. So here we start directly to teach you Linux, Python, data ingestion, data transformation, data modeling, and this is for data warehouse. Okay, and then we talk about big data, right? So you can see that it's very popular in big data. So where is the big data? Okay, so Azure. You see, in the first one we learn AWS, then we need to learn Azure. So that's also applied to your learning learning steps. AWS first, then Azure, because AWS is more, is from my point of view, AWS more straightforward. So, and also for developers, they like AWS better because they feel AWS as a design, their design is better than Azure. Okay, so learn AWS first, and also another reason is that there is much more documents for AWS than that for Azure. Okay, so you can learn AWS first, and then let's talk about Azure. So for Azure, we need to learn virtual machine, storage, and data factory. Okay, and then dive into big data. Well, right? So this is the most important part for data engineer. So for big data, this data frameworks and SQL, this type of things, they are data syntax. Okay, so learn data syntax, learn Spark syntax, and then a little bit machine learning, right? So like we said, you sometimes you need to talk with machine learning, data science, machine learning, right? So you need to know a little bit of things about machine learning. It's unnecessary to study a full course of data science because you don't have time for that. Okay, but you need to at least know some introduction about machine learning. What is the data modeling? I'm sorry. What is the machine learning modeling, and what's the model, and what's the feature engineering, and how to do how to do the data manipulation, something like that. You need to know that. So in this way, you can talk with the data scientists, right? So and so there's machine learning and Spark and so on, and then Lakehouse and streaming, right? So you can see that that's Lakehouse streaming. So you can see there is a type of things. Let's say Airflow, right? So it's kind of like data streaming and Airflow data pipeline and data streaming and lakehouse. Okay, so here are the steps, right? So this is for your learning steps. First of all, data warehouse. Learn data warehouse first, SQL, Python, to learn some basic things, Linux, Docker, and how to write a Python for a Python project, how to do data ingestion, how to do data modeling. Because the data modeling concept is not only for data warehouse, it's also for data lake. Even in a data lake, in a lake house, you still have a concept of data modeling. Okay, you still have concept of ETL. You see, right? So in previous, so in this job, even it's a data lake, but it's still there have concept ETL, right? So you need to have a concept for all of them. Okay, and then big data, right? So then big data and R. Okay, and finally, NoSQL, Airflow, data streaming, lakehouse in this more advanced topics. Okay. Yeah. So the last question is, how are we going to give suggestion for people from different industries? Okay, let's say some people they are from IT industry. Okay, some people from data industry, some people from other different type of industries. So let's talk about from IT industry. So it's the closest industry to data engineer. Okay, but it's still we have a lot of large difference. Okay, first of all, for people from IT industry, more likely they know Java, or they know Node.js or know JavaScript, this type of coding language. Some of them Python, but some of them not. Okay, for people from IT industry, most of IT industry, they use SQL, but they use SQL in different way. Okay, because usually you use some query to read some data from a database and send the database to fetch data from database and send this data to a field, something like that, right? So for people from IT industry, if like I said, so you need to know SQL very well. It's not just know SQL syntax, because I believe you know SQL syntax very well, but you need to work on let's say data analyst problems with SQL. Let's say there is some binary requirements. You need to, based on the binary requirements, to develop a query to search the data. Okay, so this is the thing for IT industry. Also, it's not only for SQL. For people from IT industry, they know they talk with database every day, but they don't go into the database. Okay, for data engineer, we are staying, we are inside this data. But for software developer, you are, outside the data. You are talking with data, but you are outside data. But for data engineer, you're inside data. So if you want to transfer from transfer from data engineer to from let's say software engineer to data engineer, you need to know data first. Okay, so you can practice your data sense with SQL. The best way is to you can choose some SQL, let's say HackerRank, right? So on HackerRank there are a lot of problems. The problems, they come from database. Okay, so you can work on in the HackerRank to practice your SQL for real business requirements. Okay, and also you can practice your data science with SQL by some data analysis program. Okay, so this is for IT people from IT. For people from data industry, let's say currently you are a data scientist or you are a data analyst, you have no problem with SQL, right? So you use SQL, you know data very well. Actually, you are very close to data engineer tasks, but maybe you collaborate with data engineer every day. Okay, so you know SQL, you know database very well, but maybe some of you have no idea of Python, or some of you know Python in a light way. So try to use more Python. That's the first thing. The second thing is, few of you use Linux or use this cloud platform. So put your energy in Linux or AWS and Azure, this platform, because for data engineer and data analyst, you don't have many chance to configure a cloud setting or to deploy a system, a server, and so on. You don't have many chance for that. But for data engineer, we do. Okay, so try to practice Linux and this AWS, this type of system more. Okay, get yourself familiar with this type of. It's the reason for that is, this just skills. It's easy to learn, but at the very beginning, you need to, change your thinking to a system thinking, because at the very beginning, maybe you feel a little bit challenging to think like a system designer. Okay, so for people from other industry, so if you don't know SQL Python, of course you need to know SQL Python very well first, and then Linux, AWS. So I can show you. So in our pre-bootcamp, this is a good place for people from other industry. So you must know SQL, Python. You must know networking and Linux. You need to know a little bit AWS, right? You need to know Docker. You need to know Azure and other Git and other skills. So SQL, Python, networking, Linux, AWS. At least you need to know this. Okay. So this is all about how we're going to learn this, how we're going to self-study data engineering skill. I know there is many questions, but because my time limits, I won't answer all the questions. I suggest you can go to WeCloud Data. So we have a WeCloud Data channel on YouTube, and also we have a Discord, and we have a Discord channel. So feel free to join this channel and put your questions under this video, and we will spend time to answer all of your questions. Okay, and thanks for your interest, and I will talk about how we're going to create your own portfolio project tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.